Okay, hi there, it's Jeff back again with another diagram video. If you get a question on inequality of income and wealth, a great diagram you can draw is the Lorenz curve, from which you can work out the Gini coefficient. So let's spend a few minutes working through this idea. So the Lorenz curve, which has been around there for over 100 years, illustrates the distribution of income or wealth. You could show wealth on the same diagram. And it shows the cumulative share of income from different deciles of the population. A decile is a 10% grouping. So, for example, if there was no inequality, if there was perfect equality, then the poorest 20% of the population, the first two deciles arranged by income, they would have 20% of the income. 50% of the population would have 50% of the income, and so on and so forth. In fact, there wouldn't be a curve, it would be a straight line. And income would fall towards what are we going to call the line of perfect equality. In reality, of course, that's not the case. The poorest deciles in the population have a disproportionately low share of income, and the richest deciles have a higher share of income. The income is skewed towards richer deciles among a population. So here's the way to draw it. With a Lorenz curve, you draw a square. On the y-axis, you measure cumulative income. So as you go up the y-axis, so eventually all the income is measured. And on the x-axis, we arrange households by income, with the poorest 10% in the first decile and the richest 10% in the highest or 10th decile. Now, if there was no inequality, this is what it would look like, with a proportional share of income flowing across the households, so that 50% of income would go to the bottom 5 deciles, and 50% would go in the top. Well, that's just a theoretical idea, of course, because we don't live in, there's no society like that, but that's the line of equality. So where would the Lorenz curve be? Well, if you haven't done this curve before, have a little think about how you would draw a country where there was income inequality. The Lorenz curve must be bowed beneath the line of equality. It's basically a plot of the cumulative share of income against the cumulative share of households. And as you can see, it's quite a long way away from the line of equality. In my little hypothetical example, half the population only have 15% of the income, which would suggest that the other half have 85% of the income. It might be the case, for example, if we go all the way up to the 9th decile, they might take 65% of the income. But look at that steep bit beyond the 9th decile. That would imply that the richest 10%, the top income decile, would have 35% of the income. So hopefully this is a good diagram for you to draw when you get an inequality question, the Lorenz curve. Now, the Lorenz curve is also used to calculate the Gini coefficient, which is a popular bit of data that students like to put in their answers. Let's just identify two areas. What is area A, which lies between the line of equality and the Lorenz curve, and area B, which lies to the right or below the Lorenz curve itself. The Gini coefficient is a measure of income inequality, and to calculate it, it's the area A divided by the area A plus area B. If you think about it, the bigger is area A, the higher will be the Gini coefficient, because the greater is that skew, that difference between the incomes of the people at the bottom end and the incomes going to people at the top. So here's a Lorenz curve with a very high level of income inequality, very high. You can see that most of the income goes to the top 2 or 3 deciles, whereas this would be a Lorenz curve with lower income inequality. The relative share of income going to the top income deciles is still high, but not as high as it was in the first curve. Just briefly, for application, these are the latest figures I can find for the Gini coefficient. South Africa has the highest income inequality with a Gini of 0.63. Brazil also very high, so too the United States and Mexico, 0.45 and 0.48 respectively. As a rule of thumb, a Gini coefficient of more than 0.4 and certainly 0.45 is regarded as a country with a high level of income inequality. The UK comes in at 0.35, and that figure has been relatively stable over the last sort of 5-10 years. But other countries have much lower income inequality. South Korea, 0.33, Ukraine, 0.26, and countries like Sweden and Finland, Slovenia and Slovakia also have a Gini coefficient of below 0.3. That's some good application. You might want to take a screenshot and add to your revision notes. So there we go. Hopefully this was a useful, quick walk through the Lorenz curve as a measure of income inequality. Stay safe, stay happy, stay positive, and see you sometime soon.